when we stop saying yes to new things, we start doing the same thing over and over again, that's when we really get stuck. And we get out of practice
Yes.
how to do new things. And that's why this little journey of verse is such a great exercise. It's like building this muscle again. Our brain is happier when we're doing new things. It turns out when you do the same thing over and over again, when you start living the same day over and over again, your brain goes to sleep,
Yeah.
goes into automatic pilot.
Hi, and welcome to Beyond Empty Nest. I'm your host, Jody Silverman, speaker, mentor, and Chief Dare Officer at Moms Who Dare. Every Thursday, I'll share stories of midlife transformation, happiness tips, and dare you to see the opportunities waiting for you so that you can make this next chapter even better than the last. If you're ready to dare, I'm ready to dare with you. Let's get into today's episode. So, when was the last time you did something for the first time? Experiencing transitions in midlife like empty nest, career change, our aging parents leave so many of the women I meet every day feeling lost and uncertain and without purpose. So does this sound like you? Are you wondering who you are if you're not a full-time mom or who you are outside of that career title? Well, you're not alone. And I cannot think of anyone better than my guest today to help you begin your journey of stepping out and trying new things to discover purpose, meaning, and fun. And I know this for a fact because it was after hearing her speak when it all came together and happened for me. Lu Ann Cahn is the author of the inspirational memoir, I Dare Me, an entertaining look back on a year that changed everything for her. The book grew out of a blog, Year of Firsts, which chronicled this veteran journalist, mother, and survivor's daily adventures as she pushed herself to try something new every single day to get her life unstuck. She was inspired by her daughter, Alexa, to go on this year-long adventure while working her full-time day job as an 8-time Emmy Award-winning journalist with NBC 10 News right here in my hometown of Philadelphia. And Lu Ann Cahn, I am so excited to have you speak to our audience today.
Well, you know what, Jody, I have to say, I'm so also proud of you. How many years ago was it that we first met?
It's about 10.
About 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I remember us talking for the first time and you saying, this resonates with me so strongly.
It did.
And that you just took it. You took everything I was laying down and you just ran and started Moms Who Dare.
Yeah.
Which I'm so thrilled. And look at it today. I'm just, you made it your thing. You've inspired so many other people, so many other women. So
when everybody says, how did it start? I said, my dare mentor. You're my dare mentor. That's what I call you, because it was in that room. And it was you on stage talking about this book, talking about your year of firsts. And I remember I had that moment in the room. It was like a TV show where everything went silent and you were just talking to me. It hit me like, I'm like, dare. It was such a great, it wasn't a scary word to me. It was a fun word. I'm like, that's what I've been doing. I'm a mom who dares. So I tell it like it is. I'm like, my dare mentor. When I heard you, that's it. Yeah.
I'm stealing that dare mentor.
You don't have to steal anything. You're the one who gave it all to me. So yay. But okay. So before we get into, because this is the number one thing women share with me when they join the private Facebook group, which is the Moms Who Dare Facebook group, which is the first point of entry in our community. That is their biggest challenge during this empty nest midlife chapter is they feel lost without purpose. And I knew that the thing that was missing from Beyond Empty Nest, our show, was your message, was that doing something for the first time, sometimes again. And before we get into what the importance of first-time experiences really is and why that's important, share a little bit of the backstory, because I know I shared that it was your daughter, Alexa, who kind of dared you and
Oh, yeah,
inspired you. So share a little bit about where you were and how that happened.
sure. I was in my mid 50s. At this point, I'd won all these Emmys, all these awards. I'd survived cancer twice, breast cancer, kidney cancer. I'd come all this way, and um, everything changed in a different way that things are changing now dramatically as well. But this was the recession had just hit. So we're going back 2009, and technology was changing dramatically. And I hated all this change. I didn't want to change. My daughter had moved off to California, had gone to college there. Yeah, I boo-hooed. My only daughter, right, decided to go to college on the other side of the country.
Yeah.
Bye. And there I was at work. I felt like I was a veteran reporter, accomplished reporter, and yet I was being told, you have to change the way you work. You have to learn to tweet, Twitter,
Yeah.
Facebook, use social media, shoot and edit your own video. And on top of that, people that I had worked with for a very long time, they were being let go. They were being moved to other places. My investigative unit at the time, which I loved, my team was really being dismantled. And I was furious. I was angry. I didn't want to do new things. I didn't want to learn new things. I know enough, right? I'm the expert. I don't want to change.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is always our natural reaction, especially at a certain time in our life. We've learned, we know stuff. Why do we have to learn new stuff? Right?
I totally, absolutely.
I got really stuck and really sad and really angry, and I didn't even know what to do with myself. And it was my daughter, who now was out in California, saying, "Oh, you got to do new things. You got to change." And I was like, "Leave me alone. What do you know? You know nothing." And she said, "I know you, and this isn't the best you."
Mm.
And she really was the one who said, "Why don't you start like a blog?" And this is when blogs are like podcasts now, right?
Right,
But
right.
still new. And she said, I said, I'm working, I'm writing. I don't have time for a blog. And she said, you need an outlet. You're a writer, you're creative. You need to do something for yourself. Why don't you do something, just do something new every day? And I said, I said, I don't have time for
Right.
this nonsense. But she wouldn't leave me alone. And she said, what if you did things that were really small, simple? Like go a day without coffee, which, by the way, I really don't recommend.
Which is not simple, Lu Ann. That is not simple.
Okay. Um,
Yeah.
give people hugs. Um, any simple, go a different way to work.
Yeah.
Sit in a different seat, change the channel, anything. Listen to a different kind of music, things you could do in just a few seconds. And I was like, whatever, okay. And she convinced me to start writing about it, start a blog. And long story short, when we started with the polar bear plunge because
Yes.
okay, if I really am going to do this and I'm going to do something new every day, I've got to do something way, way, way outside my comfort zone, something big. And it was January 1st, 2010, the polar bear plunge, which was nuts. But I came out of that feeling, first I was scared, and then I felt exhilarated, and then I felt happy in a way I hadn't felt in so long. And I thought, maybe there's something to this. Maybe
Yeah.
there's something to this. I'll just keep going. And I did. And I started blogging, and I started learning to shoot my own video and edit my own video. And people started following and telling me about their dares. And all of a sudden, everything started opening up again. And I was learning again. And I felt happier. And there is science behind this
Oh,
as
yeah.
to why. But I didn't understand any of that then. I just kept doing things. And yeah, for a year. And at the end of the year, a major publisher, Penguin, which is now Penguin Random House, said, "Hey, why don't you turn that blog into a book?" And they, and
Yep.
there
And if you're
it is.
watching this, if you're not watching us, you could head over to our YouTube channel because I'm holding up the book and you'll get to see Lu Ann. And what I love about the cover of the book, it's you on a skateboard. I
In
used to
heels.
skateboard as a kid.
I never skateboarded, and yeah, but I did try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're in heels on that. Let's just not talk
Yeah,
about
I
it.
really don't recommend that
No,
one.
no, don't do that.
I really don't think when we talk about dares, I really don't think you have to jump out of a plane and risk
Nope.
your life or skateboard in heels or do
No.
something that's really dangerous. I don't believe in that, but I do believe that we have to take risks, large and small,
And
on a regular basis.
yeah, and I love your story, and that's why I asked you to share it. I don't I even need like a jump start on my own daring for myself, and so this is going to jumpstart me again. And I did participate. I forget what year, a year or two after yours. Five of us got together down in Margate, New Jersey, my parents'
Yes,
house, and
yes,
we did the polar plunge together, and it was
yes.
scary. But I love what you said. And I think that's what it is. When I share your philosophy, because you're my mentor. You taught me what it means. And yes, there's science behind it. What it does to you to just give hugs for a day or smile or give out random compliments. People are like, how is that going to help me find my purpose? Because you're getting out of your head and you're dropping into your heart and you're just doing and being. And one of the most powerful stories that you ever shared was you needed a dare for a day. And you're like, well, I think you were Rittenhouse Square in Philadelphia, and you read it and you're like, I'm just going to talk to a random stranger. And you sat next to an older gentleman sitting on a bench. I,
Yeah. And I mean, and I really thought it was a suggestion because at that point people were giving me ideas
right,
and I thought, how hard can it I'm a reporter, right? How hard can it be to go talk to a stranger? I talk to
right,
strangers all the time. But I didn't have a camera with me in the
right.
microphone. I wasn't in that role. And I realized it's hard to walk up to a complete stranger and sit down. And the task, the dare was have a real conversation, not just a hi, how you doing today?
Right.
But get into a live conversation. And I sat next to this gentleman and I was so lucky he opened up to me. I sat next to him. I asked him how his day was. I asked him if he came to Rittenhouse Square often. And next thing you know, he told me that he came there a lot since his wife died. And then that became the story of, what happened to his wife. She died of breast cancer. I'm a breast cancer survivor.
Yeah.
He had traveled the world with her. He missed her. He loved her. So you can imagine like this conversation just bloomed out of nothing, right? And I realized that it felt like karma, magic.
Yeah.
It felt amazing that, I sat down and talked to the stranger and we had so much to talk about. We were connected and I'll never forget it. And I had hoped that I would see him again and I never saw him again, but I have a little video and I have a picture of him.
Yes, you do.
So grateful to him for sharing me.
And that really is that's the perfect example of the importance of first time experiences. And I mean, so much came out of it. So the importance of first time experiences, you never know what connection you have with somebody, a perfect stranger. What else? I mean, so much came out of this for you. So much.
I mean, the thing is that we don't realize, again, I'm about to face a big change, for example. I'm about to retire basically and go into, just adjunct teaching versus a full-time job. That's a big change. Every time we go into a different stage of life, whether it's my college students here at Temple University who are about to graduate and go to the real world, and that freaks them out, right? This is just, we're just humans. Doesn't matter how much experience behind us. You're when your kids go away to college, when you become an empty nester, when you change jobs, it scares the hell out of us. We don't like change.
Yeah.
But when you start doing these little firsts again, you realize that in these risks, there's possibility. New
Yes.
things start to happen. And nothing new happens when we say no. We just get stuck. We just, I tell my students this. Every semester, students come into their classroom and they pick a seat. We don't assign them seats. In all their classes, they pick a seat. But after the second or third week, they just sit in the same seat. And I ask them, why are you sitting in that seat? Well, it's just comfortable, right?
Yeah.
We want comfort, but you know what? And if someone sits in their seat,
Oh, yeah. It's
they
like
think
my
it's their
seat.
seat. Oh, that's my seat. Who told you that was your seat,
I
right?
know.
We do this in life. We pick a seat, we get really good and comfortable in it, and then we say, this is our seat. And we're afraid to move out. But all the good stuff is out there doing something different. There's so many possibilities.
Yeah.
But when we stop saying yes to new things, we start doing the same thing over and over again, that's when we really get stuck. And we get out of practice
Yes.
how to do new things. And that's why this little journey of verse is such a great exercise. It's like building this muscle again. Our brain is happier when we're doing new things. It turns out when you do the same thing over and over again, when you start living the same day over and over again, your brain goes to sleep,
Yeah.
goes into automatic pilot, and you just go, blah.
Yeah. It's
Right?
interesting. It's true. It's true. So before I knew about the daring doing first, when I when I came to the realization that my daughter was getting ready to leave for college and my son was not far behind, and I sat there and I asked myself, so is the business that I'm running right now really what I want to be doing when my kids are not here? And I'm like, oh God, no, ew. I didn't want to be selling commercial printing anymore my whole life. And by asking that question, it did open up my eyes to different opportunity and possibility. And I said, yes, I dare to say yes to a new business opportunity in network marketing, multi-level marketing, one of those things you're not supposed to do. And I'll never forget, Lu Ann, you made me think of this. I felt so alive for the first time in years, going to these meetings, surrounded by like-minded people who are all on a journey of self-discovery. It was not about the business. It was about the personal growth. And I remember one day my husband said, I haven't seen you this lit up over something in so long. So it is important. I mean, to get unstuck. This is what doing things for the first time, little things. And I stress on all the time, little things, talking to strangers, smiling at people, letting people in front of you, don't even follow your GPS or follow your GPS. You say all these things in your book.
Right. I walked my dog around the block backward. I learned to make a cake from scratch. I planted my first herb garden. These are not hard things, but they are things that light up your brain. But you said something else, Jody. You in your transition, you found like-minded people, and that helps sharing your journey, which is why Moms Who Dare it's so important to not feel like you're alone, that you have partners and people going through the same thing. And I had friends when I started this journey who thought I had lost my freaking mind, and said, I don't know what you're doing. But I had other friends who said, ooh, I want to come with you. I want to do it too. What are you going to do next? I want to learn to hula hoop too.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's so hard.
Right. I had friends who said, I'll go with you on this journey. And that helps so much.
It does. And it did. And I love it. So share with everybody. And I just gave myself a big dare, and I'll share it with you later. What I'm going to do this spring for my Moms Who Dare community. We're going to do 30 days of firsts. and we're going to do it together. Even if we can't be side by side, I'm daring them to do it with me. But
Yeah.
what happened for you too? I mean, here you were, and I tell people she's an 8-time Emmy award-winning journalist, and she felt stuck for all the reasons we all do. And your year of first led you to a whole new career. Yes, in your area of expertise, but a whole new career. You went from behind the camera, in front of the camera, to teaching.
Yeah. During that year, you're right. During that year of first, I did all these little simple firsts, but then I felt more courageous, and when you start doing these things, you start building your confidence again and realizing I can learn. I like this, doing new things. And I actually went back to school to start working on my master's because I did think at some point, maybe I do want to teach. And then when I started working on my master's, one of my interns at work recommended me to teach an investigative journalism class at Drexel University. And sure enough, the next thing you know, I'm doing that. So those two things happened while I was doing these other new things. And that's what happens. Once you
Yes.
start opening the door and saying yes, all of a sudden more doors start
Open.
opening because you're open, you're changing. You're showing a different part of yourself, a better part of yourself. And so by doing those things, I realized, and it was 5 years later, I stayed at NBC 10 another 5 years after the book.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. Or after I went on that journey, that year-long journey, learning new things, still, instead of resisting all those social media changes and new technology changes, then I started leading in. I wasn't afraid of it anymore.
And it can do that too. It can re-energize your current state, your current career, your current job when you think it's all gone. Because when I said yes to that other opportunity, suddenly maintaining my print business wasn't so daunting to me. And would you believe I still have my two of my clients still in that?
I believe you.
Because I had this other thing that was exciting me. It recharges you. And sometimes it's not the career you don't like. Sometimes, like you said, you're just stuck in the same, stuck in that groundhog day, stuck in resistance.
Well, this is one of the things that I say sometimes, you don't have to turn your whole life upside down.
Right.
Sometimes it's just these small changes that change everything.
Yeah.
And then you're right. You need the reboot. You need the refresh. You need to look at it in a different way, or you need to add more to your life somewhere over here. And all of a sudden, this part of your life feels a little refreshed.
Absolutely.
And you don't have to leave home and move out of the country and throw everything upside down to make a change.
No, I love that. I love that. And rewind and listen to that again. You don't have to turn your whole life upside down to create shifts and changes and re-energize and discover possibilities. So where do you start? How do you start your own journey of first, or your first or dares, whichever you want to call it?
I made a list. And I think that's a really good place to start. Just sit down and make a list of every little thing you've never done before or wanted to do. Like, at the top of my list, I always say was eat every flavor of ice cream in the ice cream store. Or eat dessert all day. I don't know why, but that shows you where my head was at. Can I just eat sweets all day? It turns out I did that and it was horrible. Doesn't matter what it is. What is one thing you've never done before that you've always wanted to do? Even just the simplest things you've never done. Make a list. Be creative. Ask your friends. Ask your family.
Yeah.
Guess what? Your friends and family, they have hobbies. I had a friend who taught me how to knit for a first. I had a friend who was really into trains. I had a friend, they'll go, "Oh, have you ever done this? Oh, have you tried this?"
Yeah.
And bring your family, friends into it and tell them. That's the other, make a list and tell everyone you know. I'm doing new things. Got any ideas for me? You will be surprised at the
Oh,
conversations.
because they're going to share things that they want to do that they're not doing, and now you can say, "Well, do it with me," and now they're doing first
Right.
and
I've had
daring.
tell me I never learned to swim. I'm terrified. And someone else will say, I'll go with you, or I teach swimming at the Y.
There
Come.
you go. Never know. Never know. You have something on your list. So in the show notes will be a link to your website, and you can find the book I Dare Me. I highly recommend it. I keep it on my shelf. It's like my Bible. My dare when I get stuck, like what can I do? You have number 20 was a day without cursing. I stress out. I have to tell you, my kids are like, you'll never do it. I'm like, I have to do it because like I'm awful. It's awful. But all right.
Well,
Yeah.
that, in newsrooms,
Yeah. Oh, I can only imagine.
there was this habit of cursing like crazy. It was part of the culture, kind of. I hate to say it. And then when I went to into academia,
No, you
I
can't. You
did
can't.
really clean it up.
No, you have
But
to.
every once in a while, I still let it fly. But yeah, that was hard.
So I love it because in the back of the book, you actually have all 365 dares. So that's why I say get the book, keep it on your shelf. Don't get it on Kindle. Get the book. Um,
I'm happy if you get it either way.
no, you
Uh,
have to get it. I bought it for gifts for people because it literally is one of those books you want to pick up and flip through because and you divide it up and you can look at it yourself. But there's like dares for giving back. We didn't even talk. That's a whole nother conversation about how to create meaning in your life. Give back to somebody else. Serve a meal, volunteer, do something. We could talk about this forever, but here's the thing, Lu Ann. We're not going to leave here. Every episode ends with a dare, and I couldn't you're the queen of dares. You're the queen of first. So, I know you're going to give them a really simple yet powerful dare. I mean, it really isn't the complicated thing. So what's your dare for the audience?
Simple dare is that one simple, like write down right now one thing. It could be, I'm going to make a new recipe tonight that I've never made. It could be, yeah, you're going to go a different way somewhere, get a different perspective. It doesn't matter what it is. Or it could be big, like plan that trip you've been talking about.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, put it down, write it on a piece of paper, a post-it note, right?
Yeah.
Oops, there went my post-it note. Post-it note, write it down with the date. And the date is, you've got to be able to accomplish it by then. And then I want you to stick that sticky note
Yep.
right where you can see it on your mirror. There you go. Right on your laptop, and go, that one's getting done. And tell everyone you're doing that one. That's dare one.
Okay. I love
That's,
that. I love that. And share it with Lu Ann. She loves, she
I would love,
loves,
yes, I would
loves when
love
you tell
to.
her about theirs. So many people always email and text and send through social media, Lu Ann, their dares. Share it with me, share it with Lu Ann. We want to celebrate you. We get to celebrate you. So you're going to write down one thing you've always wanted to do right now, and you're going to put a date on when you plan on accomplishing it so that you can accomplish it. Something you can accomplish.
Yeah, don't
And
make it so big you can't,
no,
like it's impossible,
no.
right? Something you know you can do.
Yep. And then you're going to put on a sticky note and you're going to take a picture of it on your phone and you're going to keep it everywhere in front of you, wherever you are all day long. I love that dare. It's simple and powerful. And I'm so grateful that you were part of this our show, our podcast, and springtime. So it's a perfect time to dare. Look, you can dare, you can make excuses, but you can't do both. We've always heard that. And I love that. And going back to something you said, I wrote it down here. What did you write? You wrote, in these risks, because they feel risky sometimes, there are possibilities. And it always, like, the question I had in my mind when I invited you on was, to dare or not to dare, what's the greater risk? And the greater risk is staying unstuck and not enjoying your life. And you have one life. We have one life. Let's do it. Let's dare to live this one life with fun and play and feel lit up inside. It's possible.
It is absolutely doable, possible. We can all do this. Anyone can do this.
Love that. All right, everybody, you know what I'm going to say. The goal of every single episode of Beyond Empty Nest is for you to have one takeaway, one aha moment, something that moves you into action. What was it? The whole episode this time, obviously, but what was one thing that did it for you during this episode? Let us know. Leave a review, leave a comment. If you want to send Lu Ann a message through our podcast, I will make sure she gets it. And remember to share this with your friends and embark on your year of first, or your day of first with friends. And don't forget, we'll be back next week with another brand new episode of Beyond Empty Nest. And as I always say, dare on.
on.
Dare
Thanks,
on.
Vic.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Beyond Empty Nest. Head over to jodysilverman.com for full show notes, more information, and additional resources. Speaking of additional resources, I've got a great one for you in the show notes below. So if you've enjoyed today's show and are ready to embrace this midlife chapter, then you're going to want to grab our featured resource called the Self-Talk Cleanup Challenge. You may not think so, but to quote our friend Oprah, the one thing I know for sure is that negative self-talk and thoughts are what's keeping you stuck in fear and lacking confidence to take the leaps in midlife that you desire to take. When you grab this resource, you'll receive the exact exercise my first coach took me through. It's simple, yet powerful. In addition, I'll send you a few other tools and tricks to help you knock out the negativity when it shows up, thereby increasing your confidence and your overall happiness, allowing you to have fulfillment and fun in midlife. You deserve it. So go ahead and grab your copy of the Self-Talk Cleanup Challenge, and I'll see you next Thursday. Until then, dare on.